Brief history of Indian second urbanization, c. 600 to 200 BCE. By the 6th century BCE, tribal networks consolidated into 16 major territorial states called Mahajanapadas. Centralized hereditary monarchies, or rajas, emerged as the dominant political form in the East. Some states, like the Vaji Confederation, remained aristocratic republics governed by clan assemblies. Kashi became a renowned manufacturing hub, famous for the textiles used in monastic robes. Magadha's early capital, Rajagriha, was strategically fortified to protect its growing power. Champa served as a vital commercial hub until it was annexed by Magadha. Gandhara's capital, Taxila, stood as a strategic trade hub on the western Uttarapatha route. The far northwestern states like Cambodia were renowned for their superior cavalry and horse breeding. Kaushambi acted as a key node connecting the Gangetic Valley to the southern trade routes. Kosala was a powerful monarchy, closely associated with the travels of religious reformers. Asaka was the only southern Mahajanapada, situated deep along the Dakshinapatha route. These states coordinated regional trade, defense, and administration across a vast landscape. Between 800 and 400 BCE, an intellectual revolution challenged the orthodox Vedic social order. The earliest Upanishads launched a critique against the efficacy of external ritual sacrifice. Sages argued that ritualism was a hollow substitute for true knowledge of the self. The Mundaka Upanishad famously compared rituals to unsafe boats that cannot conquer old age. New Shramana movements developed in the Middle Ganga Plain, a cultural zone outside the Vedic heartland. Proponents like the Buddha offered philosophical alternatives to inherited status and ritual. Jainism emphasized asceticism and nonviolence, rooted in even older spiritual traditions. The Buddhist Sangha provided an egalitarian model that rejected the legitimacy of the Varna hierarchy. This model appealed greatly to the new urban classes seeking social standing independent of the priesthood. The new movements encouraged social interactions that bypassed traditional Brahmanical rules. The intellectual crisis of the Upanishads had paved the way for a radical civilizational shift. A new age of reason and personal liberation was dawning in the cities of the Ganga. The growth of cities drove the transition from simple barter to a highly integrated monetary economy. India's earliest metallic currency consisted of punch-marked coins, PMCs, often made of silver. These coins lacked royal names, using symbols as a form of cultural branding by the state. Merchant guilds added reverse marks to verify purity, creating a decentralized system of trust. The Shrini Guild became the organizational backbone of the urban artisanal economy. Guilds were headed by powerful elders who regulated prices, quality, and production. These associations eventually took on social functions, influencing the development of the caste system. A new elite emerged whose status was based on liquid capital and commerce rather than lineage. The use of coinage allowed for the systematic collection of taxes and the payment of professional wages. Specialized warehouses served as ports where merchants broke seals to redistribute merchandise. A hierarchy of settlements developed, ranging from rural villages to massive fortified capitals. Commerce had become a resilient infrastructure that operated independently of political regimes. By the Mauryan period, the introduction of burnt bricks revolutionized urban housing and infrastructure. Ring wells were introduced, serving as both private water sources and waste disposal shafts. These technological innovations allowed for much greater population density within the city walls. Cities featured distinct zoning, with separated residential, commercial, and public spaces. Monumental earthworks and moats provided both physical defense and symbolic administrative boundaries. Urban centers became administrative hubs that coordinated the redistribution of regional surpluses. Infrastructure developed to include paved roads and sophisticated drainage systems. Cities like Kaushambi featured specialized zones for large-scale manufacturing and iron smelting. Fortifications served to control the flow of people and goods, ensuring the security of the urban center. The administrative expansion of the capital turned it into the primary hub of a growing empire. The Mauryan state took an active role in planning and maintaining urban civil infrastructure. The cities of the second urbanization had become the most sophisticated landscapes in the ancient world. In early historic India, the mercantile elite provided significant support to the heterodox Shramana movements. Merchant guilds pooled their financial resources to fund the construction of permanent monastic structures. Wealthy families established cash endowments, which were often invested with local guilds. The interest generated from these investments provided a stable source of food and medicine for the Sangha. This corporate religious responsibility integrated economic structures with religious institutions. The new movements provided a spiritual framework that was compatible with the values of the commercial class. These institutions served as central points for community life and social cohesion in the cities. Religious pluralism flourished as different movements vied for the patronage of the urban elite. Monasteries often provided essential services to travelers and merchants along the expanding trade networks. The economic and religious lives of the city were deeply and permanently intertwined. These institutions were monuments to the wealth and social aspirations of the new merchant class. The urban revolution had created a new, enduring spiritual landscape for the subcontinent. The mastering of monsoon winds allowed ships to sail directly across the Indian Ocean from Rome. International ports like Arikamedu linked India's economy to the global markets of the Mediterranean. India exported high-value luxury goods like pepper, pearls, and fine muslins in exchange for Roman gold. The Kushanas minted gold coins that closely imitated Roman standards for international trade. Regional dynasties granted tax-exempt land to expand agriculture into new forested regions. This policy established new agrarian foundations to support regional trading centers. The Kushana Empire linked northern India to the Silk Road and the broader economies of Central Asia. The Western Kshatrapas introduced the earliest dated silver coins, reflecting a highly monetized economy. The favorable trade balance was so great that Roman writers lamented the annual loss of 50 million sesterces. Political decentralization did not end urban life. Instead, it ushered in a highly commercialized phase. The resilience of this urban infrastructure allowed it to survive the fall of centralized empires. The second urbanization had forged the core institutional and economic patterns of classical India.